everyone. Okay, so in a sense, this whole chapter was basically just one big after party, as well, figuratively and literally, as the entire chapter was just kind of celebrating the pretty much freedom that the Yaoi cosmos and the Yaoi government is celebrating as freedom from pretty much Mueller's tyranny. And while I will admit I'm not the biggest fan of how Mashima does kind of sweep certain things under the rug with this chapter and with the closing of this arc as well. He does still provide closure in other areas as well. Like, for example, just getting this out of the way. While I am more than a little bit sour still that we never got a scene between Mueller and Jin at all, I do admit there is something genuinely heartfelt about Jin being reunited with Caleb again, and just seeing both characters be in that sort of same place emotionally where they don't even feel any animosity towards each other. They can just be conversational. They can be friends. They can just they can just be around each other like they used to be when they were training together. And although my feelings are still all over the place as well when it comes to this 180 heel turn Shura has made, especially when it comes to Ijuna, I do admit how Mashima concludes his story with the abolishment of the royalty and the start of the Aoi Cosmos Republic. It's a nice way of showing things moving forward in a different direction for this universe that's different from the outcome we experienced in universe, I believe it was 2, which it will be interesting to see how that change plays a role within the climax of the story, because I doubt Mashima is just gonna leave this thread hanging without doing something with it. So yeah, in that sense, I do still ultimately like how he concluded Shura's story here. But with that said, one thing I also really like is weirdly enough, is the resolution Zenith comes to at the end of this chapter, which is that while he laments the loss of his powers, he's still perfectly content with his life now, especially knowing that his powers have been passed down to Shiki. Like, it's a recognition that he trusts Shiki to be the one to be his successor, to be the one to carry on his legacy, and maybe in certain ways Shiki will be the one to, in order Shiki won't make the same mistakes he probably did, because that's the other thing within the talk of what he talks about. You can definitely tell he's got certain regrets. So I think he trusts Shiki with not to make those same mistakes, kind of thing. And okay, cursory glance of the chapter out of the way, though, let's talk about one of the bigger reveals of the chapter, which is that the members of the Urashian Space Interstellar approach the Eden Zero crew and reveal they're more or less aware of the fact they've known each other in a previous universe, and they know this through a shared benefactor, Nadia, the android woman the crew met on Red Cave. And I'll be honest, Red Cave coming back into the picture like this did kind of surprise me a bit, because while the arc itself provided a very nice point to just decompress and relax in between two major arcs, in retrospect, Red Cave also feels like the arc that with the least amount of importance, in the sense where, don't get me wrong, a lot of what it's set up was never really touched on again. Like, even when it was technically brought back with the reveal of Nero's dice being a relic, like, it never really felt like it tied back fully into the story. The reveal of Mother's like fate and ether being connected to all mothers that exist in the world in the universe, it felt like much more of an important thread towards finding her than the actual relics, to the point where that, for me at least, it made Red Cave kind of seem inconsequential to the journey of finding her. So to see it come back into play like this hopefully means we're going to get more of an idea just how all these threads tie together with both the relics and the ether of a mother being connected to Mother herself, and how we can just use both of these to kind of find her and help save her. That's kind of my hope. I just don't know how much Mashima is going to pull it off. But also, as much as characters like Amira and Holy have proved themselves to be trusted allies in the past, I am questioning why Nadia told the government about this. Like, you'd think they'd just laugh it off as myths, so she must have given them one hell of a compelling argument and PowerPoint presentation in order to convince them that, yeah, all this shit is real, Mother's real, all of it's real. So, yeah, I'll be curious to see what happened there. Also, before I forget, it was brought up to me last chapter that another possible reason Justice isn't part of the Union Army or the Interstellar, or the Orestes Interstellar is because he might actually be part of the new Orestes Galactica under the codename Lightning Law. And while I am still holding on to my own theory about both him and Elsie like kind of combined like pretty much fighting together in order to stop one, I'm not gonna discount the possibility of him being Lightning Law as well, because that is kind of a theory that's kind of just too good to just dismiss outright. Like, let me put it this way: I wouldn't be surprised if either my theory or the theory of him being Lightning Law came true. Like, either is just too good to dismiss. And yeah, obviously we gotta talk about that ending where the Eden Zero crew are formally recognized as heroes of the Yaoi Cosmos. And obviously, as the readers, we know they're heroes, so something like this just feels like a formality at this point. But if you really think about it, back in their universe, even though the crew has committed heroic acts both big and small, in the eyes of the government, they're viewed as anti-heroes at best and villains at worst. So every time they've committed an act of good, they've been forced to kind of disappear into the shadows and remain ever on the move to avoid capture. So in that sense, to finally see the crew get the recognition they deserve feels all the more fulfilling now because of that fact. Like for as much as we may say that true heroism is the kind that isn't recognized, I think there is something to be said about the recognition factor. That recognition factor as well. That it's properly earned. That if it's properly earned, and this does feel properly earned. Like, they've saved it so many times that just to see them get recognition for it, it does feel deserved. Like they said, and it's just nice to see them finally being recognized for those efforts. Also, one thing I will never not get tired of is Mashima's ability to craft outfit designs that feel unique. Like, I might get a lot of Bleach fans angry at me for this, but I tend to think Mashima and Kubo are the two mangaka who stand out the most for getting the most creative with the outfits they craft for their characters. Like, there are still unique, like, craft for their characters that are still unique to those characters, and it's something only they would wear. Like, the only ones I would say that were pretty standardized in this chapter are Jin, Kilim, and Shiki, just both wearing just kind of plain suits. But it's like, yeah, as a whole, like, for me, like, I think Mashima and Kubo are probably have become two of my favorite manga artists. It just for the extremely diverse array of outfits that these two people managed to craft for their characters, kind of thing. But yeah, guys, that's kind of all I got for this review. If you enjoyed the video, like, comment, subscribe. From on Twitter, Analyst Crunchyroll. Be sure to notification bell. Hit the subscribe button and just share it around, guys. Dark Knight signing off. Later, everyone.